The special meeting of the Geauga County Budget Commission. Today is Wednesday, February 18, 2026. It is 9:01 a.m. First up for their annual budget hearing is the Kenston School District. This is for the 26-27 budget season, commonly referred to as the 27 budget season. But Kristen, you want to start out with the numbers, please, for Kenston? Do they have to sign in? Did everybody sign in?
We did.
You did? Good. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, you're kind of low there.
No.
Here.
Wait. No, it's not. All right. Kenston submitted their 2027 budget with a cash figure in their general fund of $9,888,476. They requested revenue in the amount of $44,096,709. The Budget Commission will consider $43,602. Their expenses are showing at $45,401,711, leaving an ending cash balance of $7,028,367. Bond from 2002 on has a beginning cash balance $1,603,564. The requested revenue amount of $2,642,363. Budget Commission will consider $2,646,247. Their expenses are at $2,642,363. Cash balance of $1,607,448,448. Bond fund from 2018, beginning cash balance of $434,709. Requesting revenue in the amount of $595,931. Budget Commission will consider $611,577. Expenses are at $595,931, leaving an ending cash balance of $449,725. They have a permanent improvement levy with a beginning cash balance of $1,296,200, requesting revenue in the amount of $1,173,349, which the Budget Commission will consider. Expenses are at $1,438,400, leaving an ending cash balance of $1,031,225. Total estimated millage for tax year 26-27, 4.5 inside general, 81.49 outside general, 1 mil permanent improvement, 2.77 bond for a total of 8.76. They do not get the benefit of any other manufactured home.
Who would like to go first?
Your power.
Yeah, if you don't mind. So I've generally done this every year. It's getting a little busy, but I think there's some value to it. So this is the map of the county. Obviously, Kenston is the one highlighted in green with the circles around it. What this represents is our 2023 sexennial result, which would indicate the res ag increased in your school district by almost 31%. The two numbers below it are, I think, are indicators of consumer reaction in the area. And those are the percent BOR hearings for the year following the sexennial, which is the small number, and then last year, which is the big number. So your population, it seems to be good with their cost structure. It was an 18% roughly submission of BORs year after the BOR, year after the sexennial, which is kind of I think it's the early detection. That's when the most impact is seen by the consumer immediately after a sexennial. And then last year, of course, was 2 years after, and it dropped to 12%. So I think that's a good indicator. Your student number did change a little bit. Your attendance is great in your school. I put those up there. I got them all off the state site. And it just gives you kind of a comparative with other schools in the county. Next slide, please. This is your assessed value of your property valuations for 2025. Your district is about $1.2 billion. That indicates about a 4.6% increase over the prior year, which is good. That's a good percent growth. There's a lot of factors that go into that percent calculation, so you have to be careful over analyzing it. If if you were to, for example, buy some property and it was on the tax rolls and then it came off of the tax rolls, that would indicate a drop, and that could be an artificial indicator. So you got to be careful with some of these numbers. Next slide, please. This is how you rank both in full rate millage and effective rate millage. And your full rate is just a little bit south of 90 mils, and your effective rate corresponds to about 31.5 mils, which I think that's a good example of how residents can get misled by full rate perception. It's full rate really is not relevant. The effective rate is relevant because it's moved to today's numbers. So I like to do this, and you can see how you rank. You are one of the highest funded schools, but again, you have to look at how have your residents respond to that funding, and from the BORs, they're fine. So I think that's the indicator we have to measure and monitor. Next slide, please. This is Geauga County's overall school enrollment in the public schools. It's down 6.6% over 5 years. Next slide. Yours is down 3.3 over 5 years. I mean, those numbers are fairly small student count, but nonetheless, it's the same trend we're seeing with all schools. On the next slide, you'll see comparative to the other, comparative to the other school districts, you're about in the middle of the pack with, there's some that are really, I think, concerning. Cardinal and Chardon both are experiencing much higher reductions. So next slide, please. So I took a summary and then I compared your submitted and our then adjusted revenue numbers compared to last year's equivalents. So this is not your actuals comparative. This is last year's predictions to this year's predictions. And that mimics exactly what's on these sheets that Kristen already read. I do an analysis of cash in your general fund as a percent of expense. You're at 15.5%, basically the same as you were projecting last year. That's good. I think you have very consistent budgeting. Your general fund revenue per student is at $17,500. Your expenses are slightly higher than that. Obviously, that is, I wouldn't say concerning. That is something to be cautious of because you're burning more than you're bringing in per student on revenue. You're very typical to all schools in the state right now. It's just how it's moving. The carryover cash per student is sitting at about $2,800. Next slide, please. This is how those numbers rank with the other schools in the county. You can see your, I kind of look at the red and the blue bars. They're pretty consistent across the county. Your green bar is the resulting cash per student. You're at the lower end of the pack. That's a good thing. I think from a taxpayer perspective, there's not money sitting around per student that's not being consumed for some reason. Although I don't think 0 is a good number either, but nonetheless, nothing jumps out at me here that is of concern. Next slide. This is how your cash as a percent of expense in the general fund comparatively looks for the last 5 years. The blue line, which kind of looks black, but or maybe that's green because no, it's blue. That is your particular entities. The red one is the county average. The green one is the state's average. You can see you've consistently been below both the state and the county average cash as a percent of expenditure. And although there is no perfect number, as averages have, there's many people above and many people below. You've consistently been below that number. Interesting note is the state's average went from 46.2 to 32.1 in 1 year. That's a huge change. So that was an indicator. I went, wow, that was shocker. And then at the top, I actually, I kind of extend this number out, looking at both your 2026 appropriations that you've submitted and your proposed budget for 2027. Where would that continue? And you can see 2026, you're pretty flat, but then in your 2027, you're starting to dip. But again, the further out you look, the less valuable those numbers are, right? Because they're all predictions. But nonetheless, I wanted to show that trend. Next slide. This is how you align with all of the other entities, both in the current year cash as a percent of expense, and the budgeted year. And you can see you're indicating a slight drop. You're well below the state average. The yellow bar is what the state average was last year. So you can see everything has been squashed down. And I think that's going to be indicative across the state, and because we all know what's happening in Columbus, and that's where the pressure points are. I think you're at a very optimal. I couldn't find a better spot. I mean, I think you're below the average, which is not in radar, and yet you're functioning very well. So I think those are good, really good indicators. Next slide, please. I did highlight your PI. You have about $1 million left, which is about 71.7%. However, if you go to the next slide, I think you have to look at all the factors. You've submitted a number of projects that are pending in the PI fund, which are going to consume some of that money. Your cash carryover is not excessive by any stretch of the imagination. So that $1 million doesn't bother me. This is the summary of looking at the 1 year past into this current budget year. 1 mil value went to $1.22 million at 100% collection. New construction contributed only $9,000. So your money's not growing by a lot. It's not flat, but it's certainly not, I don't think it's considered a windfall. The reval did raise your inside millage and continues about $1.16 million. You are currently well above the floor at almost 28 mils. So you're not even close to hitting the floor. Your revenue, this is what I thought was interesting. Your revenue from 2024 to 2025 in the general fund decreased by 170K, but your expenditures increased by 1.7 mils. But again, a lot goes on in the general fund. So I mean, that's just a statistic. It doesn't really tell me much. Except that you could have moved money, you could have done a lot of projects out of the general fund. One thing I do want to note, I have been advised by the tax commissioner that the scheduled 2029 sexennial is being moved for Geauga County permanently to coincide with the 2030 schedule. I think that's good for Geauga. It's going to move the next adjustment out 1 more year. They're doing that to balance the 3 pockets of entities that do their sexennial to balance the equation better. It was heavily loaded in the session we were in. We were in the first, I think it was 55 or 60% of the entities were having their sexennial together, which was, I think they learned their lesson when the legislature got bombarded with people saying the sky is falling and can we spread this out better? So that will be a permanent change. Our new schedule will align now with 2030 going forward every 6 years. However, our update will still occur this year. So that did not change the current year update, which is a trimming. It's not a full reval. So my recommendation after looking this is to approve the budget. That's what I've yet to hear from my colleagues. I'm sure you have a PowerPoint, Chris.
So in the past, as you know, I'm a bit of a budget hawk.
Yeah.
And I look at the past. I have reviewed these numbers 3 times, looking for something to grab onto. And all I can do is come up with not only a second to his motion to approve, but this really is exceptional work. And I know it's not been easy, but it well represents the county. And I had no idea that Auditor Walter would do such a strong job of presenting the case in support of your budget, and the taxpayers should appreciate it. This is probably the best presentation. He's done this a while.
Yes.
This is probably the best presentation in the state for any school. This is Tom Willenfest. I am.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was probably overall the best budget that was submitted in this round. Your numbers are really tight. That's usually one of my criticisms, is that the estimates are straying very far from the actuals, which is again, you're providing estimates to the taxpayers and your actuals are pretty far away from what you've estimated. Are you giving the taxpayers an honest picture? You're giving the taxpayers a very honest picture. I think the PI levy was a good move. I know that was sucking out a lot of your, general revenue fund, because you do have a lot of PI expenses. and at least losing that transfer. Actually, my only concern is, a 15% cash carryover is you're running a little hot. I think the 20% is very good. You projected the 15%. I'm hoping that you can maybe stay closer to that 20% because you do have the PI money.
Yeah, and we're doing some things now with staffing and whatnot. And we're trying to get that up closer to that 18 to 20% level.
Yeah, I know you're top heavy on your, that's the other, with, years of experience with your staff,
Right.
The way that those,
Airlines are.
those, so, and there's, I don't know, there's really, other than time, there's really not a way out of those situations,
That's right,
right?
yeah.
So, but yeah, again, really, you did an excellent job. I really, no criticisms, just a concern that you're starting to run a little hot.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay, so Chuck made the motion and I seconded it. Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you. Gotta sign.
Yeah.
Gotta sign.
In here.
We're gonna, and who's up next? Cardinal?
Thank you.
Cardinal. On the
Sharp Cardinal is,
Cardinals next.
on our.
You want to go, you want us to flip it? You want to-
Good, superintendent.
Yeah, we'll flip it. I think we can do
My apologies.
No worries. So I think you were moved from tomorrow to today, right?
Correct. We're signing up.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, one of these is set, right? Maybe it's just. Right.
Yeah, and then behind that is your rate resolution that needs to be approved by your board. to act on.
Thank you, Seth. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. Hi, Deb.
Hi.
How are you? Okay, we're gonna flip her and do Chardon next, okay?
Okay. That's your advance of taxes. It will hit your bank. So now, you already saw. Okay.
Appreciate
Yeah.
We're definitely fine.
Didn't we have that startup?
Okay, so we're gonna open the next hearing for Chardon Local School District.
Let's make sure Chris got that.
Come on, Chris, can you get it? Oh, just so everybody knows, so Tammy went back to Bainbridge to work. She for some strange reason, she didn't like driving winter to Chardon. I don't know.
35 minutes versus
3
minutes.
Tina is stepping up from fiscal, moving into budget. We've got another person actually who's coming aboard in 2 weeks, 16th of March. So Tina's getting her feet wet, going through these, and she will eventually help out Kristen. And Kristen's had a bit of a, I guess we've kind of done a dump on her for the last couple of weeks. Hey. You want to start with the numbers?
Chardon submitted their 2027 budget with a cash balance in their general fund of $16,270,631. They requested revenue in the amount of $658,892. Budget commission will consider $6,482. Estimated expenses are at $46,042. Balance of $13,461. Has a cash balance of $2.15. They're requesting revenue in the amount of $2,379,000. Budget commission will consider $2,721,000. Estimated expenses are at $2,772,000. They have a tax anticipated note in. They have a cash balance of $45,006. Revenue from their equipment. Revenue 5,000, which is consider. Estimated expenses are at $45,006. Total estimated millage for tax year 26-27 is 3.5 inside general. 1 mil inside 74 outside general, 2 mil outside permanent. And it did receive distribution from last year. It was approximately $156,000.
Okay, you want me to go first?
Well, yeah,
Why not?
Yeah.
Next slide.
Show up.
Yeah, so again, this is the similar slide to what I showed Kenston. Your, your res ag equivalent sexennial adjustment was 26.4%. Your BOR complaints last year went up significantly over the year before. I guess I don't understand that because I didn't see any significant change to funding requirements by the school. It could just be how the numbers fell out because there's a delay of 2 years since the sexennial. I will say for the record though, percentages can be misleading. I believe we only had, we had less than 400 complaints last year, which is quite low. So percentage of that is obviously more important than it's going to show a more drastic change than the actual number. But your student attendance is great. You dropped a little bit in student count, and I've adjusted for those numbers. Next slide, please. Your assessed value is just a little bit south of $1 billion in value. You did have the highest in the county for increase of 6%. It primarily was in the res ag area and public utilities. So those two components, which we both know why. And you did have a loss though in your commercial areas.
Yeah, the hospital. Yeah.
So you know exactly why those indicators are important. Next slide, please. Your raw millage is almost 81 mils, but your effective millage is just a little bit south of 31 mils. You're second ranked in the county for that millage. But again, I think the indicator is more what the population is saying. I think if people want to fund to a certain level, they should be able to, just like if they don't want to fund at that level. And your residents have not raised higher concern over the funding. Next slide, please. Again, this is the county trend. Next slide will show your trend. You're down a bit more, but again, the percentages are misleading. When you have 2,000 students, 10% is only 23 students, so you got to put that into consideration. But nonetheless, the trend across the entire county and across the entire state for public schools is on the decline, and I think that's cause for everyone's concern. Next slide, please. This is how you rank compared to others. Obviously slightly higher than the average, but nonetheless, an indicator. The average in the county was 6.6. Yours is slightly above average. Next slide. This is the summary of your general fund numbers. Again, I did a comparative of your cash as a percent of expenditures and the indicators on the right, the up or down compared to last year's prediction. So not last year's actual, but prediction. Up a little bit to almost 31%. Again, not a huge indicator for me. $17,000 roughly per student on revenue, $18,000 roughly per student on same problem, right? I don't think any school in the state is going to come up differently than this scenario, but I could be wrong. None in the county is going to. I guarantee you that. Your carryover per student is about $5,600 per student. You can go to the next slide, please. This is how you compare. And again, I look at the red and the blue bars are pretty consistent across the county. The green bar, you're obviously right about average. So I don't consider that to be any sort of an alarm or indicator. I think we are very modest with our cash as a percent of expense per student. Next slide, please. And I'm colorblind, so forgive me. The blue, I believe, is the district. The red is the county, and the green is the state. You are rapidly approaching the state average, and I will give you kudos. If you look back to 2022, we all know the ire that we all went through in 2022. You have addressed that concern by this commission very well. I mean, you have directed your cash to do improvements to your facility. I know you've done a bus garage project. You've done a ton of things. And that has drawn, I think, your statistics to be more in line with most of the other schools in the county. And I think at a very acceptable level, you are quickly going to be approaching the average for the state. If you look at the projected at the upper right-hand side, we're projecting to be about 31%, which will drop just below the state average if, in fact, the state average remains the same. So that to me is, I mean, I think it would be crazy for us to say if you're a percentage point above, you're bad. If you're a percentage point below, you're great. That's not how this works. Mm-hmm. Averages are determined by all of those numbers, right? So you just want to be kind of in the ballpark. Next slide, please. Again, this is where you hover. Your current slightly above, your prediction slightly below. I don't know that you could ask for anything more. Next slide. I did run your PI, 1%, in your PI. Who's gonna, well, people are gonna complain, or people that are planning to use that PI money, right?
Right.
Because you have to wait for that to be repopulated. I just for the record, I did average your $2.53 to $2. I wasn't gonna do that. Next slide. The summary is 1 mil for you is just a little bit south of $1 million. New construction did give you $6,000 of revenue on certain levies. Your 2023 increase in inside millage from the reappraisal was a little bit below, I think, $828,000. You are above the floor considerably by 28 mils. I think you're the highest in the county above the floor, if I'm not mistaken. Your 2024-2025 general fund revenue decreased by 1.7 million to the prior year, and your expenditures increased by about 5 million. That was an indicator of you investing in bringing down your cash carryover. As a result, and again, just for your benefit, the sexennial is moved a year. You should make note of that because your predictors will obviously be a year later. And based on this, you did a great job, Deb, as usual, and I recommend approving the budget.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm there, but not quite there.
Okay.
If you go to the blue and white sheet that was
Yep.
distributed, which is my favorite sheet because it shows what you've budgeted and what reality is. If you look at 2024-25
Mm-hmm.
for the general fund,
Mm-hmm.
go down to the estimated expense versus actual expense.
That's fair.
So you actually spent last year $47 million.
Correct.
The year before, you spent 42.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost a 12% hike
Right. And it's in the transportation center.
in the declining student climate.
Yeah, they did the bus garage project, right?
We did the bus garage project.
That's where they paid for it.
Wasn't
Yep.
that paid for out of permanent improvement?
No, the
What-
bus garage was paid for out of the general fund. Parts of it were out of permanent improvement, but the majority of it was out
What
of
was
the
the
general
total?
fund.
That was a big project.
7.5 million.
Yeah, that was a huge project.
Should it not have been paid out of permanent
Well,
improvement?
if you go back a slide,
I don't think.
I don't think you're probably, you know,
Yeah.
2.5 million.
They ran it down to $2, so they tried.
Yeah.
Which,
Chris would like that $2.
which leads me to the permanent improvement budget line for the same year.
Mhm.
You had told us, and in doing so, told the public that you had estimated any cash balance of $33,000.
Correct.
You actually had about $500,000.
With 373,000 in open purchase orders that didn't complete.
Okay, that's all I need to know. I'm there. Okay,
Yeah, not to reiterate too much of what Chuck said, but, I thought you did a great job. Again, there were some, sharp criticisms and some contentious meetings, a few years ago. And the cash balance was way too high. And, we have that. I know some people think that they're getting picked on, but we're pretty consistent. We do this with all the townships, the municipalities. And we've had that criticism, the park district in the past. And some people unhappily take our criticism and act on it. And some people walk out of here and say, forget those guys. We're just gonna keep doing what we're doing. I think that you took our criticism and acted upon it, invested in those capital projects. You brought your cash carryover down. I think that bus garage project was really, maybe because I drive by it all the time, but that where your bus garage was on Central Campus was just so horrible. That's just such an improvement to your Central Campus, getting all that out of there. And then the new facility is just so nice, and I think really has helped with some of the traffic issues too,
Absolutely.
significantly.
Yes.
Your traffic situation around school time is just horrible up there. And that really, it's shifted a little down where I'm driving, but that's okay. It's not that bad because it's mostly just empty buses. So, no, I think that was a great project, a great use of your funds, and address the cash carryover by spending money on a need. That's what drives me nuts is when people have a pile of money, I know they need to do stuff and they're just not doing it and they're just collecting the money, and you didn't do that. You spent it on on some needs. So great job. I'm very happy.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Don't forget your people.
Yeah. You don't want to come back.
Or maybe they do, it's a public hearing.
There's that too.
Everybody from Cardinal, we're ready?
I think your rate resolution is in this.
Okay, we'll take care of that.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Good seeing you. Cardinal School is up next.
This is your advance of taxes.
You're sitting there.
Sitting here.
All right.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Good. A little anxious about my first time appearing before.
You've been around longer than all of us put together, so I think. Oh, yes. I mean, you were around with when House Bill,
Yeah, before House Bill 920.
Yeah.
So in 1973.
Literally before me.
Yeah, I've tried to retire 3 times and haven't.
Not working out for you?
No.
Kristen, you want to start with the numbers, please?
Yes. Cardinal Local Schools submitted their 2027 budget with a beginning cash balance in their general fund of $6,382,197. They requested revenue in the amount of $15,599,135. The Budget Commission will consider $15,082,100. Expenses were shown at $15,311,405, leaving an ending cash balance of $6,252,892. They have a bond retirement fund with a beginning cash balance of $210,569 showing no activity. With an ending balance then of $210,569. Permanent Improvement Fund, they have a beginning cash balance of $190,478, requesting revenue in the amount of $249,892. Budget Commission will consider $432,112. Expenses came in at $320,000, leaving an ending cash balance of $102,590. They have a debt, which is a Cox Ground lease. They show a beginning cash balance of $35,072. They requested revenue in the amount of $400,891, which the Budget Commission will consider, with matching expenses of $400,891, leaving an ending balance of $35,072. Total millage for tax year 26-27 is 4 mills inside general, 0.5 inside permanent improvement, 53.1 outside general, for a total of 57.6. They did receive manufactured home revenue last year, which totaled $21,385.
Okay, I'll start. You're indicated in yellow. Your res ag sexennial increase was 29%. I think you're lowest in the county. Lowest district increase. The BOR subsequent to that sexennial was around 12% of the cases were from your district. That dropped considerably, or that increased considerably from the year prior, which was at 4.5. Although again, because of the volume reduction, percentages can be very misleading. Your student count is now at 680 students according to the state. I think these are year-old data though, but nonetheless, it's off the state site. And your attendance ratio or attendance percent is 93%. Next slide, please. Your assessed value is the lowest in the county by district, below $500 million. Your increase, though, however, was almost 6%. And I mean, I think that change was good for you. It will be good for you in the future. And it's a good indicator, but there were some other statistics that I think are of concern for the district. Next slide, please. You are third ranked in full millage rate at 57.6. You are last ranked in effective mills by your residents at 21.25 mills, which I mean that's a lot of money difference between the highest and the lowest. You're talking 10 mills across the board. And given that Kenston's value per mill is much higher than your value per mill, that's a ton more money. So you are underfunded from a perspective of analysis to other districts. Next slide, please. This is how the trend is running in the county for enrollment in public schools for 2024, 2025. Next slide, please. This is you led the pack with reduction of students. And again, this is year-old data to the state, but nonetheless, about 17% reduction. It's obviously concerning. You have a fairly low student count, but it is what it is.
We do have a comment on that we can offer now or later.
Whichever you prefer, Dan.
Yes, I think our board and superintendent have been very focused on this very thing and have initiated several significant programs. And I think our superintendent could just talk about the Husky Virtual Academy and our program.
Yeah, our current enrollment count is 720, 723, something like that. Where we're at, because we've instituted our Husky Virtual, which has brought some kids, but we've also got some bigger enrollment. What our issue is our current junior and senior class are low. So they're really low. But our elementary school grade levels are really picking up.
What's your kindergarten class this year?
54, 55.
I mean, 600 with 680 students over, that's 50, average 52 a grade. So
Yeah, well, our
Wouldn't
upper
fit.
elementary, so we are in our first graders now are in the 60s, high 60s. Our third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grader, high 60s, low 70s.
yeah, I mean, one of my comments was, you know, at what point, you know, if you've got 50 kindergarten, you know, if you've got 52 kids in the grade, you know, what point are we talking about? Is this really viable with the overhead? You know, there's fixed cost of running. Sure, right? There's a superintendent, there's a treasurer, there's a school nurse, there's bus drivers, there's buses, there's, you know, there's a fixed cost. So whether you have 100 students or 500 students, that there's a fixed cost built into that. And then, and you've got facility issues and all of that. You know, at what point, you know, you've got 50 kindergartners, you know, at what point are you?
What are you talking about? Closing? Is that what you're saying?
Consolidating, or,
in the last-
you know, we've had 2 different school districts go through this in the county since I've been on this commission. And, so I guess, yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, we over the last 4 years since I've been there, we've really focused on our finances, our facilities and stuff. So we were consolidated down to 2 campuses, and both those campuses are in great shape. We got no facility issues. What we're doing with that, so we are right sized where we're at. Our staffing is right sized to where we're at. We're comfortable with 50 in a class because we're still providing a quality product to what we're doing. So I think our community, if they don't like that, they might want to stand up and say something different, but I'm pretty sure our community likes the product that we're doing. We are always cognizant of enrollment, and we're always adapting our staff and our facilities.
Again, there's been 3 significant initiatives. One was the Husky Virtual Academy that's brought students. Our ACE program, Career Tech, and recently we've been strengthening our relationship with the Amish community for some students attending. So we are very focused on it. Again, the state data focuses on the traditional K-12 enrollment. Doesn't pick up the Husky Academy, the ACE Academy to do that. But we have seen some growth trying to get back, and we have right sized as far as facilities go. So we're very conscious of that. But again, we have a very unique community. Personalize their system.
Statistically, this is how you map out compared to the other districts in the county. Again, you led the pack at 16.9. The county average was 6.6 over 5 years. You've addressed that issue, and we'll go into the next slide, please. I did your general fund analysis using the adjusted figures. I will say this, your general fund's a little misleading this year because you sold a building, I believe, and that's a huge influx of cash that is yet to be matriculated through the system, for lack of a better word. And so your numbers are skewed. So I recognize that when I read through your budget, Your cash as a percent of expenses is hovering at 41%. That is up, and that would be expected to be up over last year because of that influx of significant cash, which is not something you can predict in revenue. You can't predict the sale of a building. You can hope for it, but you don't know when that's going to occur. So in your case, I think that is why these indicators have appeared to spike. I think time will tell what happens to that going forward, and that has also done a few things. Your revenue per student is higher than average because of that, and your expense per student is higher because your books are being adjusted now for that. Your overall cash carryover as a per student basis is hovering right around $9,000. Again, all of your metrics are up, and I think those are all up indicators because of that cash implosion.
Certainly part of it. And again, I'll just indicate I'm new to the district. In the past few years, there was a focus on building cash balance in hopes of gaining a better credit rating and refinancing that you have paid out of general fund or through general fund. Now we're more focused on investing in teaching and learning, less sensitive to cash. So we will be seeing the cash balance come down, but also know that 40% number is kind of the recommended conservative fiscal place to be.
Next slide, please. This is how you ranked, and again, the red and blue are pretty consistent throughout the county. You're at the higher end of the at the cash per student, but again, we've addressed that. Next slide. These are the indicators that we talked about, and you can see the blue line is your school district, the red is the county, the green is the state. The other two are declining, yours are increasing, and I think that is indicative of sale of a property.
Sure.
Right?
It was a big sale.
The others didn't have it, so
Yeah.
you're going to see this as a statistic. Outreach, it's going to jump up. So I'm less reactive to this as long as we know why that occurred. If we didn't know why that occurred, I think we'd have different questions. But next, and if you look at the upper right-hand side, to your point, your budget year is showing a reduction of your cash as a percent of expense going forward, which is, as indicated, will adjust out that number that you're seeing a spike in. Next slide, please. Again, the red is the state average as of last year. The yellow is the state average as of 2 years ago. That is on a decline, and I agree with you, Dan. The consensus across the state has been normally 40% is the recommended sweet spot. Although, math is math, right? Whatever the numbers fall, that's what we call the average now. And I don't see you, although you're higher than the other districts in the county, I would be concerned if you were on an upward trend and above the old average as it existed before, if that makes sense.
If I can interrupt, so that 40% right with the sale of our building, but our capital outlay plan, as we're especially moving this summer, we have some big projects that we're doing to do that kind of stuff.
And I think I think I'll address that in one of my later slides. The next slide, please. So I took a look at your PI and your COPS ground lease, and those are combined funds. I mean, you can see this is a very modest cash carryover. I mean, 32% in a PI fund is peanuts, in my opinion. One project and that's gone, right? One prediction of a project and it's gone. So I don't consider this to be an indicator of a increase in carrying over cash that's not necessary. So my next slide, if you will, you did provide us some post 20th of January data regarding your PI COPS program that just because of the statute, once the 20th of January hits, we're the only ones who could change your budget submission because the law says on the 20th it has to be submitted. So my recommendation to the board, based on these statistics, is to accept your post submission, which adjusted the PI and COPS. And I think that explains some of these anomalies that are going on. And then to obviously, my recommendation is to approve the budget. And just pointing out a few things, you are hovering close to the floor, but not exactly at the floor. You're within, I mean, you're not, I guess 20.7 you could call close. You could drop below the floor on an upset event like a reappraisal. That's my indicator. Fortunately, that's out one more year on the horizon now. So we got 1 year, we don't have to worry about it. But that would be something I would keep an eye on, because if that happens, floor adjustment is going to kick in its current form, which whatever that is, based on time of day that the legislator decides to do it. But these statistics, I think, bear out that I believe your numbers are an anomaly because of certain key events that we have to recognize. It's not due to any sort of a trend that I'm concerned about at all. So I appreciate your submission, Dan, and I know you got, this was kind of dumped on you, and you got it, and we were able to navigate through it. So I appreciate that effort.
The only question I have is debt retirement fund, cash balance, but no activity coming or going. I'm not sure, but maybe that's money that can be returned to the taxpayers or put into a fund to use. Here it's idle. Idle's not good.
Our goal is before the end of this fiscal year to get guidance from the state auditor's office on how best to do it. Those were voter tax monies there, and all the debt's now been paid off. So we don't know whether to return it through some mechanism of taxpayers, or if we can allocate that to a new capital project. Our goal is to have legal guidance and to address that.
You know what that was collected for? What was the debt? What was it for? A construction project?
For the new library and for the new middle school, and we need the number.
Did it also benefit from refinancing?
Middle school, it's the library.
Some of these funds are from TBLR. We have paid TBLR to the library bond fund and also to another bond fund. So these are funds that the state just make end adjustments to.
So you're going to have to go across the street to the courthouse to get the ability of moving this, right?
Yes, and it's indicated the last of the debt payments was made just last year.
Yeah, this is not going on for years.
I would encourage you to get that done.
Yes, we will.
Another,
Could you go back to slide 20?
Memorize the slides.
I'm sorry. 23. So, again, I know we're already getting offended when I mentioned the consolidation, but then I'm not trying to beat up on you, but we're here for the taxpayers. You're spending the most per student in the town. The other 4 school districts are exceptionally rated by the state, and we can debate the state rating systems all we want, but we know West Geauga score, we know Kenston score, we know Chardon score, we know Berkshire score, and your score. And you look at the spending per student, and again, when you have these small enrollment numbers, and you look at the fixed costs of running a school district, are your students getting the same quality, the same opportunity as these other districts, and you're spending a lot more per student, right? It's I think a valid issue, and I think it's something that you have to look at and think about.
Yes, and we are sensitive that I've worked in 2 districts with less than 1,200 students. I've worked in districts with over 17,000 students, and I do know part of these numbers are based on the size. When you break it down to percentages or per pupil, it shows something different. But again, since you indicate I've been around a while, I'll go all the way back to the Northwest Ordinance, where there was 1/16 of every township set aside for schools, with the idea being that a education should be unique to that individual community or area. And again, we do believe that we have a unique need in our community for education, and we are addressing that. We do know that prior to our current superintendent's arrival, there wasn't as much sensitivity to that, but we are seeing a growth in enrollment. We are seeing improved quality of instruction that will be reflected in future state report cards. And we do believe that we can sustain ourselves as an individual district serving the unique needs of our community. So I appreciate what you're saying. And again, when I work in larger districts, whether it was 12,000 or 17,000 kids, our numbers would look dramatically different just because of this number of enrollment. So I understand the concern, but we also believe we're addressing that by really focusing on investing less in building cash balance for credit rating, more investing in teaching and learning, and being as efficient as possible. As was indicated, we went from 3 buildings to 2 buildings. And we're also have 5-year capital plan. We're trying to anticipate future major when roofs wear out, when the HVACs wear out, and having the ability to do it. And we do believe that we can still remain high quality district and fiscally responsible. And as you saw, we have one of the lowest tax rates in the county. So you would think just the opposite would be true. The smallest district would have the highest tax rate. That's not true for us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think to Jim's point, we're all facing on the horizon a potential threat to our entire funding system of all government, let alone schools. And no doubt schools are the highest percentage because that's how the equation works. I think we just believe that we owe it to the taxpayers to have the dialogue.
Absolutely.
Even if the conclusion is, the people decide what they want for education ultimately. And there are people who are willing to pay a higher price per student or a higher price in higher millage, depending on where they live, to get the quality of education that they want. I think what my worry is when we stop asking the question locally, we leave it to somebody in Columbus to start asking the question who knows less than we know. And then ultimately we lose control. And when we lose control over how we fund our schools, I think we're going to lose control over our schools. And that same is true with mental health services, aging services, libraries, you name it. We're all going to be put in a pickle to try to figure out how we're going to change the funding paradigm to make everybody satisfied. And we all know we can't make everybody satisfied. And so I think Jim's question is valid to ask.
Absolutely.
I accept your answers is valid. And I think the residents just need to hear that dialogue and to realize it's not a pushback. It's yep, we thought about it, but here's what we believe our taxpayers are asking for. And we're going to do what they want because that's what we're here to do as a mission. And so I think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got the same reaction from the Newberry people. And and you're not where Newberry was at. I'm not saying you are, but I got the same reaction and looks from the Newberry folks. And at the end, I mean, they were harming they were offering 2 AP classes in the high school. They didn't have the extracurriculars, and you can say what you want, but sports are an important part. None of my kids are going to play sports in college, but they all play a lot of sports in school, and it's an important offering for their growth as a person. And when you don't have the extracurriculars, when you're struggling and you're spending so much per student and you're offering so much less, that's a concern. I mean, look, the folks in Newberry those students went from not having those opportunities to going to now they're in the highest rated public school district in the county. And not every kid can take AP classes or do this or do that, but they have those opportunities. Those opportunities are all there for them because of that. And there was a lot of Newberry pride, and there's a lot of people still mad about it. But again, it's about your taxpayers and offering opportunities to your students. So, and I get what you're saying, and you're not there yet. And it sounds like you're taking steps to combat this trend, but the trend is concerning. And if the trend keeps going this way, you're going to have to seriously consider that, I think.
Well, your comments resonate with me. I was brought in the last year for the transition.
You were at Newberry. Yeah, I remember.
And saw, we had about 345 students in total, and many of the things you said are correct. We could not offer the experience that's so important to our students to do that. I also was deputy superintendent at the state of Ohio when Ledgemont was dissolved, and I saw that happen. But I also see in our case, we have low tax rate versus Ledgemont and Newberry that had very high tax rates.
Yep.
And we have reverse that trend. I think our board was very sensitive to, we can't keep declining enrollment and stay in existence. We can't serve the needs of the community without focusing on teaching and learning and those trends. And you'll see more of that in the coming years. We're seeing growing enrollment. We're seeing better balance. We're targeting that 40% number, but if it goes a little lower and carry over. So we are very sensitive. And I think it's a very important discussion that we continue to have.
And I think this dialogue is going to transcend beyond schools into how we serve our fire
Absolutely.
communities, how law enforcement is handled. I mean, those questions are plaguing every entity that's collecting money from the taxpayer.
Yeah.
And we can either ignore it and let somebody else decide for us, which I'm not an advocate of, or we can try to be part of our own solution.
Yes,
Which-
your meeting, bringing all the taxing districts together was so enlightening. To hear the impact on whether it's public library, police and fire, roads, county operations. So
In conjunction with the League of Women Voters and the library, we're doing a series of meetings coming up. I think the first one is February 25th at the Bainbridge Library. And our goal is not to take a side. Our goal is not to say, they're the evil empire and they're trying to squash all funding. Our goal is to just educate the public. A better educated public will make a better decision at the ballot box. And we don't want to pick a side, because as soon as you pick a side, there's a winner and a loser. I think we're all going to be losers if we're not careful.
Yeah.
And we would rather just say, recognize that if you decide to do this, these are the ramifications and they're real. And if you're okay with that, well, far be it from me, but the majority vote has to be the one determining that. I think what people miss with this whole abolish property tax is the majority of our taxes are voted for by people.
exactly.
Now, we could argue, is a simple majority reasonable or not? That's an argument I think we can logically have, because on any given election cycle, you may not have an accurate representation of your constituency. But nonetheless, more, other than inside millage and 20 mil floor adjustment, everything else is voted for. So what's the complaint? You voted for it and now you don't want to do it anymore. Well, that has to be exposed delicately to taxpayers, because the resistance will be, you're doing fear and, the fear syndrome, and that's not our intention. I know Seth's going to be at the one in Bainbridge. We're trying our best to keep a level head, because
That's
I think
excellent.
now more than ever it's necessary.
And again, rather than having one rubber stamp, same
They weren't all
school
alike.
district all over the state, allowing us to have districts that serve the unique needs of our community, that will also be lost.
Columbus wants one size fits all,
Absolutely.
right? They want that with everything.
Yeah,
And
one
Yeah.
district county.
Some of us do think the legislature's the evil empire. Let's not speak for the whole.
I try not to.
And I already have the music for that.
So
Mr. Wilson, I'd like to explore, every school district is unique. What do you think makes Cardinal so specifically unique?
I think serving that, while our students do have a future in their mind and their parents have a future in their mind, we see in my short time there, and our board president or our superintendent could speak more to it, but that they're able to go into the trades, they're able to follow their family and their chosen pathway, and not just let's get a college degree and then figure out what we're going to do. I think
Well, right, we offer College Credit Plus also. We have a lot of extracurriculars that we don't charge for. Everything's free. We have no school fees at all. So that might be part of the,
You participate with Auburn Career Center? There's no charge for any of that.
no charge for that. There's no charge for sports. There's no school fees at the beginning of the year for supplies. The school is free.
Does the Amish community, the fact that most of their kids go to their schools, have an impact on it?
Yes, it has a huge impact. That is actually, I went to Cardinal, and when I went to Cardinal, we had probably 50 Amish kids in our classes. That is the big difference. And there's nothing we can do about that. As you know, they double population.
Well,
Every
there's a lot you
20
can do,
years.
guys. You could reach out and talk with the.
We talk to them. Here's the problem. Every Amish family has to pay. It's a parochial school. Every Amish family has to pay to go to these schools, to support these schools. We talked to the superintendent, he says, you're trying to take our money away from us, because we're free. And any independent thinking Amish family who's not flush with cash would probably, I mean, we have a few, we have special needs.
You get special set aside money for those kids.
For some of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay
Yeah,
for everything.
I've never known the state to give 100% for Empire comment. Back to Eagle Empire.
Yeah, that is the big thing is the Amish population. Now, we do have a people too, but you asked about our school. We're tight. Parents appreciate the small school. Students enroll in Berkshire, it's because they appreciate the small school and those. Every kid can do whatever they want. If you want to play basketball, you're going to play basketball. There's no tryouts.
I think the mistake the legislature is making is they're considering schools on a flat level playing field. And there's cottage schools throughout the entire state where people are just, they want their school the way they want it. And why are we telling them they can't do that? If they're willing to pay for it, fund it,
Right.
it's certainly not like the legislature is kicking in their money or their share of the money. We've had those promises forever. And my worry is as we move the decision making further up the food chain, the worse the decision gets.
It sounds horrible. A county school would be terrible. Yeah, first of all,
Federal school, right?
it would cost a lot more money and it'd take away.
Just, again, I'm new to,
I'm not advocating for county school.
I'm new to the, I'm just, you were facing less than 600 units. That doesn't result in less tax collection.
No, so
Doesn't, because it stops being viable.
So to Dan's question, he was asking, you know, we modify the requested revenue to what we are considering for revenue. And we try to determine why our numbers differ from your numbers. So that's indicated that there was a transfer out to cash that was included in your revenue that we have adjusted for on our revenue. It doesn't change your collection. It doesn't change how we collect the tax rate. It's just our accounting of that money.
Okay, thank you. And I thought so, but I
Yeah.
wanted to be certain.
Some people like maybe use the wrong column. We may not have, I think at this, some of these, we didn't even know what the collection rate was, whether it was 100% or 98%. So everyone could be off by 2% of their
Yeah.
revenue. So this is kind of where the rubber meets the road. As soon as the year commences though, all bets are off, right? It's what you collect.
Yes.
Typically, Chris collects about 103, 104%, 102%. So,
Love that.
but we don't predict that because
Yeah.
you can't
Because
justify it.
that's collection, right, on taxes. for
Know
sure.
know that today is the last day of tax collection. Yesterday, my little team never worked so hard collecting money on behalf of all of the taxing entities. It was crazy. But that's the benefit of being in Geauga County. Taxpayers are paying their bill. And though these calculations are based on 90% collection, you will get more than. Next year, I cannot make any promise. I'm already considering moving tax collection to 95%. Based on what I'm hearing in finance. Imagine 5% gain in your collection. But for now, we're good. We're good.
Hopefully your very proactive approach to collecting delinquencies would soften that even if you went to 95.
I don't want to get in.
Hopefully.
So there
His
was,
office is very good.
I'm gonna make a motion, but there was a post-submission.
For the cops, PI, right?
Yeah, there was a post-submission change because there was a change to your budget after the due date. Only the budget commission can make that change. So I move we approve the budget as amended by the budget commission,
Accepting those changes.
accepting those post-submission changes.
I will second that motion.
Yes.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it, Dan, always. You know, thank you for expanding it.
I love that time, Liberty Bell.
I got it
time.
from a friend of mine. Gives me all of his old ties because he doesn't wear ties anymore. It's like still wear the same. It's like growing up all over again, right?
Yeah. And you sure know how to make a guy happy walking out the door here. Tax advance.
I got it. Thank you.
Take care.
And I'll give you a copy of this. And your rate resolution should be in the back of it. Okay. Back of that packet. Okay.
Very much.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Good seeing you.
Good to see you.
And this young lady at the end of the table,
Kristen's got
she drive me, I drive her crazy, but she's been very polite.
We give a shout out to Ashley too. She's awesome. Thanks. Great job.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, we did. I'm just using that.
Okay.
Okay, we're
That's
gonna,
up for the prior minutes from February second.
I will second that.
No, it's your turn.
Oh, you want me to make a motion? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes submitted.
Yes.
Yes.
I see. You're welcome.
Thanks, Dan. See you.
Chardon Local School, it's their amendment number 5. They had a net increase to special revenue of $2,405.02. New special revenue fund total is $6,641,063. Total certificate, $8,050,069.
Second, yes.
Yes.
Chester Township, it's amendment number 1, section 6. New general fund total is $3,800,000. 531.74, special revenue, $12,400,888 capital project, $604,834.24, total certificate, $16,994,254.18. Net change over original is $2,447,893.
So moved.
I'm gonna second, but I want some discussion before we go.
Okay.
So,
I didn't see this coming. What's going on?
okay, so here's the issue I have. These submissions are their end of year balance that we're receiving. We have to have some, so. The unencumbered beginning balance in 2026 in the fire department in Chester is almost $1.7 million.
I put 11.
The general fund, $1.725 million beginning balance. Road and bridge, $821,000.
Can I run up to my office and get the budget sheet from last year real quick?
Sure.
I want to see what they told us. Do you mind?
No. You can tell when the background music comes in.
It's just like, well, that goes on.
He's gonna go to the bathroom.
Plenty of time then.
And I'm gonna just sit here and wait.
I'll be right back.
You know, I gotta believe this. It's late seventies. Ever. He's been a treasurer for a long time. Probably one of the longest running. I don't know if he did Newberry. He was brought into Newberry when they did the consolidation. He worked for ESC for a while, where he would go everywhere. He would be the guy, they would send him out to kind of in troubled areas, and he would kind of get involved in.
Maybe.
I thought he said it was a deputy.
Yeah.
I think yes.
Hey Chuck, this is Chrissy.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hey, while you guys are
Hey.
taking your mini break, I just wanted to mention that during today's thing, the microphone that's over by Kristen and where Jim and Chuck were, it's really hard to hear you guys at times. So I just wanted to let you know. So maybe for tomorrow, you guys can make an adjustment. It sounds kind of
Yeah,
garbled.
The
Yeah, just
microphone
so-
where down where Jim is in Kristen or up by where I
Yeah.
am?
No, yours
Oh,
is
so-
fine, but the other one, I don't know, just to, so you guys know going into tomorrow, I want to mention it.
I think with the AC.
When the AC kick, we'll pull that down toward you. If you don't mind, Christy, could you grab that? Well,
Yeah, this is Natalie. It almost sounded muffled.
garbled? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, thank you for bringing that up.
No problem.
Is it, Kristen, say something.
Something.
Is that better?
Say
Is
a
that-
sentence.
It's not connected yet.
Hello, everyone. How was your day?
Not connected yet.
That's
It's what?
that's better on my end.
Oh, hang on, we found out it's not even connected.
It was connected, should go the flex off.
Oh,
Is that better with?
yeah, you sounded better without it.
Because again.
You want me to grab that?
Can you pull it? Yeah, no, should be good.
Go ahead.
You can pull it that side.
Yeah.
Pull it another- All good?
This,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, Kristen's gonna say something now.
Thank you for rearranging our table.
Oh my
Is that
gosh,
better?
I can hear you now, yes.
Good,
Yes.
thank you,
Much better.
thank you. We should probably do a sound check at the beginning of these,
We'll
right?
see what the AC.
Yeah.
We might need to.
This room is, well,
The
not
first
another
school
li-
district, it came through clear, but who went second, Chardon? Christy, I don't know
Yes.
about you, I could barely hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
the important thing is you could hear me, right?
Yes, you made sure.
Yes.
Well,
We can hear you in our sleep.
so I got a problem.
Over and over.
Well, I'm living for free in Pam's head. I don't understand.
All right, perfect. I just wanted to let you guys know since you had a break.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think $22,000 is less than, no, it's more than Notre Dame Cathedral last.
Hang on, you did a left turn.
$22,000 per child.
Oh, what they charge for tuition?
Yeah.
I don't know what Notre Dame charges. Do you know what they charge?
More than my kids' school, the kids who left there paid for that, so.
Last time I went for the reunion, it was
24,000?
Yes, that was only.
That's us.
Still a few years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I went to Catholic, how did my parents support it? I don't think it was that anywhere close to that when I was a kid. Sorry.
We got the 11th district reversed in the Supreme Court. The hot streak.
What, on which case?
It was a criminal case out of Muni Court, but
Jim,
7-0.
it's not like we're competitive or anything.
That's not a win.
Okay, so what fund do you want to look at first?
Wait, let me, you see how I keep this?
Yes,
I keep it in my top drawer, like,
Which is very important.
because I look at it all the time,
Mhm.
and I gotta figure out where's Chess.
You know, you're the only attorney in the state of Ohio that does that,
What?
that has numbers in their desk drawer, other than billing numbers for other people.
Disorganized mess.
And you're the only auditor. that
Oh, here we
put
go.
Together.
Yeah,
With you.
I would all have to state.
Oh, no, that's just.
Can I leave this here?
Yeah, put them on.
Yeah.
There'll maybe pizza on it.
I'm okay with that. I'm so pleased we're done.
We're almost done. Not quite.
I'm sorry, Amber.
No, we're
Sit in
waiting.
this hot box a little longer. Oh, here we go. Okay. What? My notes. Okay, so the general fund, 2026 estimated beginning balance, what do they got?
1.725 million.
They told us 800, us and the taxpayers, 885,000.
Okay.
But they're only wrong by 100%.
Right. Road and bridge,
Road and bridge, what they end up with?
821,000.
That's not horrible. They said they'd have 562.
Okay, how about fire?
Oh, you're not gonna like this. Oh, wait. Oh, no. What did they say? What do they have?
1.7 million.
They're not on. They said they'd have 1.488 million.
Why do we need 1.7 million?
Were I to go get my notes for another 10-minute delay, it would indicate what they are saving for.
It shouldn't be.
You're just
It's called reserve funds.
regaining cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
They may not have made that transition.
All right, I'll have to look. I'm not trying to get ahead of the budget. thing. I'm not trying to get ahead of the budget thing, but there's two entities that jumped out to me like a giant brick.
Yeah.
This is one of them.
What was police? Was their police estimate or their actual?
Their actual police was $645,000.
That's not bad. 541,000. That's the best one.
And that's what out of it.
That's really good, actually.
Okay.
The general's bad.
So the motion's been made and seconded. We'll call for the question.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Kristen, didn't mean to. derail.
That's fine.
That's impressive. It would have taken me,
East Geogga Fire District, it's amendment number one, new general fund total and their total certificate, $1,639,018.
I'll so move.
second,
Yes.
Yes.
Really loading us up today, huh?
Yeah, sorry.
Yep. Bainbridge.
Well, we were shuffling them earlier.
That's okay.
A Bainbridge submitted for amendment number one, their new general fund total is $3,847,697.39. Special revenue, $20,653,137.90. Debt service, $1,228,282.70. Capital projects, $5,291,434.47. Fiduciary, $2,273.70. Total certificate, $31,022,826.16. Net change over original, $4,240,953.14.
Brick you were referring
Can
to?
you look up what the general fund anticipated beginning balance was for Bainbridge?
so moved.
Second, but we're having discussion.
Motion's made.
Yeah.
We'll have discussion.
Okay, I had it in here.
You know, kudos for keeping it in your top desk drawer. I'm not impressed with your filing system.
I just wrote it all in here.
First, you kept it. Order either, so.
I thought I swear I saw Bainbridge.
And I'm actually impressed that you don't know this number off. the
No,
top of
I
your
don't.
head.
I was,
Russell's on top. I remember that.
hold that one because that one's
And
coming
then
up.
just. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Let's just call the question.
Well-
We'll do it during budgets.
No, here, let me write it down. What was their estimate? What was their actual for the general fund? Is that the one you're,
3 mil, their beginning general fund balance for 2026 is 1.8 million.
okay.
Net change in beginning balances
Oh, yeah.
was $3,869,500.
Of all funds.
Right, right. all
Yeah.
fine.
Oh,
So
here we go.
Compound enough.
Don't give Chris any more ammunition. It's poor Bainbridge. She's been beating on him for
I'm
years.
just saying there's a problem with Bainbridge. I want to ask the question on the general.
Okay, they told us their general fund, what's that, 1,425,200.
Call question?
Yes.
Yes.
We have to break us every meeting now.
You should, but I would organize them in order of something other than cheaper.
So it's kind of fun to just kind of rip through there.
Okay, Thompson Township, it's amendment number two for them. They ended up getting a firefighters grant in the amount of $149,757.14. The special revenue fund total is $2,070,938.80. Total certificate, $2,603,158.91. Appropriations do not exceed.
So moved.
Second,
Yes.
yes.
So you need to get Russell out?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy. You can start reading.
Okay, Russell Township, it's amendment number one. New general fund total is $2,640,662.87. Special revenue, $10,566,494.63. Debt service, $16,666.66. Capital projects, $2,305,578.24. Total certificate, $15,529,402.40. Net change over original is $3,438,456.77. Appropriations do not exceed.
Can you tell Karen to spend $1 out of that debt service? It's creeping me out.
Is my,
That's specifically for OPWC.
I'll also move. Discussion.
Okay, you want to look at it? I'll get the other sheet.
Yeah. I heard it.
So what's
Well,
your
let's start with,
general?
I don't think the general was the problem, but we can. But $1 million is in the general.
481,000 was their estimate.
Okay, we're up by 100%. More importantly, police fund, 1.3 million beginning balance.
I think they got that levy. They said they were gonna have 843,000.
They're at 1.3 million.
Listen,
And they haven't collected the $1 million,
Makes no sense.
and they haven't collected the $1 million yet. This is prior to collecting the $1 million. Their total,
which is okay. The voters said they want to give them that $1 million. It's up to them to now show us that $1 million spent, where it will be returned to the taxpayer.
road and bridge, what do they have for their estimated?
815,000.
1.2 million. How about fire?
489,000.
718.
So,
They're all up by almost 100%. And they have all reserve funds.
the police ones. Well, that's gonna be.
I'm just. Oh,
Maybe instead of hiring one detective, they actually hired 10. Get themselves out.
They just hire a detective, they promote it within.
Yes, but they're gonna backfill.
They have. But they.
I am not aware that they backfill. That is correct.
I thought that was fascinating.
Yes.
I
Yeah. Okay, already taken our complex now, so.
Joliet County Amendment number 2, it's an increase in the senior center for the addition of 2,600,000. Capital projects funds, 21,460, 21,460,648.14. Total certificate, 247,646.
Did they, so they're just, they have these funds, they're just certifying them so they can spend them? For this one?
It's the certificate that was approved. So that was approved.
They're getting it. Then I know they have it in a fund, is that, we think of this from, they're pulling it from the fund?
I'm thinking.
Then they didn't certify any revenue. So they're just taking the money out of their fund, so they can spend.
I think,
What fund are they
I think-
taking out of? This?
no, they're certifying to the fund. It's a transfer in.
Yeah, from where? Okay, what's it going into?
It's going into senior center construction.
Oh, they're getting ready for the,
Yeah, but I think they already had a bunch of money.
well, they did,
It's a transfer in from something.
they did, but they're buying and then they're rehabbing.
It's going into their transfer. In. So they have it, so it's gotta be. So it's-
Yeah, this is the Chardon Senior Project.
Yeah.
The one that you got the answer of how much it's gonna totally cost. Wait, I think. Only thing I'm gonna say is these property tax abolishment debates cannot happen quick enough. Because there are certain people that haven't gotten the message.
It's true.
Or
Second. No. Simon. The six.
it did have. And all that I have on there right now.
You only have two tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So is there more business to do too?
Not unless we get it in this afternoon,
Okay,
but I just wanted
what order is it in tomorrow?
I have Berkshire.
Okay.
I guess depending on Karen calls, I don't. know.
They were gonna carry her.
No, she could talk about it.
She broke her leg. Broke
Her kneecap.
Her kneecap. She's rolling ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad. No, Beth's here.
Yeah, she did.
Karen.
I understand.
Beth is here. Yeah, I don't know why Beth came to this.
She always.
She always comes.
That's last week.
Sorry, I heard that.
I didn't realize I just.
I heard it.
Yeah.
Beth is?
Yeah.
Retired. Yeah, so all,
I, in their most recent board meeting. For license, I'll be, maybe, but I mean, just got experience. Lost big shoes to fill.
so all we have left is public comment. Anyone have any public comment? Chrissy, is the volume better now?
I, just so you all have it on your calendar, I know you do, but these property tax events that Chuck mentioned, we have one in Bay Ridge on February 20th, but there are two more. There's one March 10th, that's gonna be county office building. April 7th. We're gonna have panelists.
I'm trying to see, I know I was invited, I'm trying to see if I can clear my schedule.
Chris, you're more than welcome, and we'd be very appreciative of you being there.
I will be there. I'm moderating all three panels for the change. We are, so we'll have questions and panels. So we're going to have questions and comments as a candidate forums.
Okay.
And, you know, we're hoping people will show up, coming from all different backgrounds, all different questions. We want to get the information out there and let people do it.
25th. Oh, last. Okay, so
So February 25th at the Bay Bridge Library, March 10th at the office building, and
hold on. What time?
6:30.
6:30.
It's the one where it's like 5 minutes.
I don't know.
You know who that is?
No.
Bottom right. That's Natalie. We know her.
You just put people at the top of this. Is that Kate Taylor? That's you.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
Katie.
Katie Taylor.
Oh.
Hi, Katie.
Okay, any other public comment from anyone?
Yeah, they're all at 6.
really have any public people on it?
So,
Nobody cared.
other than that, I'll just, my usual request for whatever documentation you can give me. I'd like your slides tomorrow after everything is fine.
You have, give her the thumb drive. It's got both PowerPoint and PDF.
Okay, and I'm watching it publish in your course talk.
Yeah, it's because it's got Mars too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I mean, I could give it to you, but I have to get it.
Well,
But I thought you ambushed people with those.
I do. But the night before I
Or just to mark this, just to do the ambush. You just want me to
well,
not to speak.
for there, I'm happy to give you. I think your perspective is important. You're the E.F. Hutton of the county. When E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen.
So
You're too young to
I'm
remember that.
sad to report.
It's an investment company, it's too big.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kind
Kind of like who's that?
Yeah.
Those Foster grants.
The county is pointing. It's scary. So.
My biggest concern is, despite all this threat, I'm still hearing government growing.
It's been,
It's like, that to me doesn't make sense.
Well, I think that's what's driving it. I mean, I think you think that there's a segment of this group that just wants government to cut expenses. I mean, I watched some of another presentation in another county, and it's like they're like, oh, this raising the sales tax is ridiculous. The government just needs to cut spending. Well, is the township going to cut 97% of its spending? I mean,
Here's the problem, Jim. I don't know that the general public realizes that 0% of our property taxes go to the state. 0.
well, I know.
This cutting a property tax doesn't hurt the state.
I mean, I guess
It
it
benefits
saves a
them.
roll bit. Yeah, they could save the roll.
They save money.
Yeah.
So they miss the whole point. This only hurts local government. The spending freeze should be local level and the state level.
I guess the other thing that drives me nuts, you know how much I hate hypocrisy, but if you want to look at the viewpoint or where the right comes numbers supposedly historically has come from. Be, more local control, local government, local decisions. And the higher up government you go, the less accountability there. And I believe all that. I mean, that's where I come from.
But this is moving it all upstream.
Exactly, but they don't hold the legislature accountable. I mean, the legislature is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, who is answering for this corruption thing? I mean, they threw a couple people in federal prison. I mean, they're all involved in it. They all took the money. And the feds didn't even try. Dave Yost, who's the most virtuous of all those state office holders down there by far, he's the only one that is going after the CEO. If it wasn't for Dave Yost, they wouldn't even be holding the First Energy people accountable. They would just walk away.
Well,
so I guess with these local people, you have this group, and you're right. None of this, the state doesn't get that property tax money. I mean, why don't they do a constitutional amendment that the state has to give us all the sales tax money? Where's all the waste, fraud, and abuse? Where is the unaccountability? It's with the state. When's the last time we actually had a contested primary for one of these legislative things? You know what I mean? The state party controls who runs, who gets in, and I never see the person until it's election time. And I'm a countywide elected official. So it just, so now you got me on a rant. It just drives me nuts that let's focus on where the money's being wasted and where the unaccountability.
Well, I think
we're all very accountable. You come in here to ask me any question.
that's what you have to break it down into parts you can absorb it. You can't eat an elephant all in one bite. So first of all, the state, while they're attacking the state for having all this wasted money, this does nothing to curb the state spending. It doesn't affect their revenue at all. It actually gives them more revenue to spend because the rollback component, the 12.5%, is going to be kept in the coffers.
Yeah.
So now they think, why would the state have any motivation to increase sales tax or income tax to help out local government? They're not helping us out now.
No,
They're going to go, nah, not doing it. So now it's all going to be.
when's the last time the state did anything for local government? I mean, they run around at budget time and they hand out
Give us our own money.
give out our own money to us and then go to ribbon cuttings.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do.
I know.
When are they actually trying to help
Yeah,
local
I
government?
will say, I think there are people in the state house that are relatively new that have done more in the period of time that they've been there than it's been done for generations. And I don't want to paint them with that broad brush.
No. There are a few
that are trying. But then
count on one hand.
they take what you start with and you end up negotiating. And it's so watered down and diluted, the effect of it is minuscule. And,
Look at that unemployment fraud that they had. No one was ever held to account for
I know.
that. None of them.
I know.
That was a massive fraud. And they just, nothing. Okay, well, now that we've concluded it's all their fault, we'll just, reiterate that at the,
Yeah, well, that's not going to be the
Well,
problem.
we can make sure there's no further public comment.
I don't think there's anybody.
No, everybody else is already disconnected.
Yeah, we're sick of that.
We're done.
So we can end this hearing,
We can, I know you're anxious to move on.
move to approve.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
We're out of here. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.